Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up, everybody? It's Big Herc Fresh Out, and you're tuned into another episode of Prison Talk. I want to thank you guys for your support, and if you hadn't had a chance to check out our website, please do so at www.FreshOutSeries.com. If you got any questions, hit us up at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. We'll answer your questions. I try to get to as many questions as possible. Some of you guys, you email. And if the questions, I've done it on the previous Prison Talk, I'm not going to keep answering the same question. Go through and watch our 200-something episodes, man. Represent, man. Subscribe, man. If you haven't checked out our Instagram, our Twitter, our Patreon, support it. Subscribe to it, man. It's Fresh Out Series. We love y'all. And I got another question from one of our viewers. Big Herc, I was wondering, how are Crips and Bloods from other states and cities viewed by the Crips and Bloods from LA or in Cali in general? Are they respected within the prison system? The reason why I asked it is because I was watching an interview with Young Dre, and he was saying that B's and C's outside of LA are fake and wannabes. He even said the Bay Area Crips and Bloods are fake. So what are your thoughts on this? Okay, the Bay Area, I'll start with that. Shout out to the Bay Area. I used to go to school in Frisco, over by Hunters Point, Martin Luther King Jr. High School back in the day. And there's the Bay Area. It's not Blood and Crip. The Bloods, it's not. They're not banging like that. Now, if you go to Sacramento, they got Bloods and Crips, and they'll split your motherfucking wig. You know what I mean? They had them when I was out there, and they'll split your wig. As far as the Bay Area, it's based on cities and hoods. And when they say blood, it's like pretty much family. You know what I mean? What's up, family? What's up, blood? That's how they talk out there. I knew niggas when I was in junior high school, and that's how they talk. What's up, blood? But, they might be from Frisco. They might be from Richmond. They might be from Oakland. They might be from Vallejo. They might be from Pittsburgh. They might be from San Jose. They might be from Berkeley. They might be from Antioch. You know what I'm saying? And it's all, everybody got their own little thing going on out there. So the Bay Area is a totally different beast than LA. You can't put no Blood and Crip situation out there because them niggas in Oakland is not going for that shit. The cats in Frisco is not playing that. They got their own shit. You go from Hunters Point to Sunnydale, and you with the bullshit, you're gonna get your wig split. You go from East Oakland to West Oakland, you might get your wig split, and it ain't based on Blood and Crip. Them niggas are just about territory, about they streets or they blocks that they rep in they neighborhoods. So the Bay Area, they do their own thing. Ain't no Crips and Bloods out there. If they got them out there now, it might be something that they just try to click up, but they don't get down like that. They basically, they've been saying that shit since the 60s, and you got a lot of history with the Black Panthers and stuff in the Bay Area, which created a whole different type of structure. So there wasn't the Bloods and Crips, they didn't have that out there. It was cities, neighborhoods, and streets, territory, shit like that. So Sacramento, they have Bloods and Crips out there, a lot of Bloods, some Crips, and nowhere, not respected any less than cats in LA. You go out there with the bullshit, thinking now, these niggas out here in Sacramento are soft. Niggas will split your motherfucking wig. You know what I'm saying? They got terrorists out there. Niggas bust your motherfucking dome. So, just because a dude is from Sacramento and he's a Blood, or you think, oh, he's a Crip, he's not from LA. Nah, this niggas is just as hard as other niggas I've seen in other places, a lot, it originated in LA. You got a lot of, OGs. And, you got some people, like some places where, like I seen a dude, he's a Crip from Alaska. What the fuck is going on in Alaska? You know what I'm saying? I don't know who he's funking with out there, but Alaska, I don't see there being, but the guy was he said he was a Crip. He was a white cat, and nobody fucked with him. He was a little yoke motherfucker. Didn't talk a lot. Wasn't selling wolf tickets. Minded his business, and he was a Crip. You know what I mean? Wasn't the Bloods wasn't sweating with him. He ate by the Crips at their table, and motherfucker was at the USP, so he wasn't no punk. I seen Crips from Seattle, Bloods from Oregon. And when you start talking about like out-of-state Bloods and Crips, most of them kind of stick to their cities, man. If you got dudes from Oregon, Blood or Crip, a lot of times if they from Oregon, they all kind of piece up because of just the demographics of the feds. And I'm talking predominantly federal, not state. But in the feds, they kind of pretty much click up by demographics. So this table over here might be a Seattle car. This might be a Portland car. This might be LA car, the Crips. This might be LA Bloods over here. This might be the Native Americans. This might be the Hawaiians. This might be the Norteños. This might be the Sureños. Everything's separated. So it's not like, dudes from Seattle are going to be having Crips from Seattle are going to be having a Crip from LA call shots for their car. Now, Seattle Crips probably have a shot caller. They do have a shot caller for their car. The LA Crips have a shot caller for their car, and then if something jumps off, they have a meeting of the minds. And they put it together to see what really happened. Maybe there was a piece of shit, and that piece of shit has to get checked. And now the Seattle dudes have to check their own dude, or the dudes from LA have to check their own dude. But even within like the LA car, the Crips, you got Compton, you got South Central, you might have 60s because they might be a lot of dudes from 60s at a particular spot, or dudes from Hoover. They kind of got their own little factions too, even though they all know each other. And when it comes time to handle business, they'll have a meeting of the minds. But a dude from 60s, if it's a meeting with Compton Crips, he's not going to be going to that meeting because that's Compton Crips, and vice versa. So they have their own little thing going on internally within the Crips and the Bloods, and the same thing. So you can't really say that, a guy from fucking Kansas City, he's a Crip, he's gonna be kicking it with the Crips from LA. Even though he might be a Crip, he still probably has his own little homies he socializes with. And I'm not gonna say a nigga from Kansas City is any softer than a nigga from LA because he's Crippin' and he's not originally from LA, because you don't know what his background is. Maybe he had cousins from LA or whatever. Maybe he lived in LA and moved. You don't know what that dude's capable of, so you can't really say he's a buster. And so to judge another state, whether it be St. Louis, Kansas, I knew a cat from New Jersey. He was a Blood. This nigga was a motherfucking, he was a beast. You look at this nigga, his people out there, they were banging Blood hard as a motherfucker. They weren't no busters. You know what I mean? They were New Jersey Bloods, and they were not, them niggas was not like faking the funk. So you go out there if you want to and think you're going to, check some niggas and you'll get your motherfucking wig split. Just like in New York, I seen some cats, there's cats who were, banging out there. They got Crip cars and a couple little, but when it comes to New York, it's New York cats. They all stuck together, did their thing. They were pretty much, they all rode together. So a lot of that, Jersey cats, they kind of kicked it with dudes from, they had the little East Coast clique. So a lot of that stuff kind of went out the window when it came to piecing up, depending on where they're at. You put East Coast cats on the West Coast, East Coast cats band together, and it's not as much division. West Coast cats on the West Coast, more division, but you put them on the East Coast, they band together more. So instead of being LA, it might be Cali, Bay Area, Northern California, Sacramento, LA. They communicate a little bit better. So it all depends on where you're at in the country, on how a lot of the Crips and Blood stuff gets down. But, not to take anything away from anybody who's banging outside in different states. Yeah, you got some dudes, who are busters, who are claiming different things that try to be hard. But when you get to the pen, that shit is serious. You know what I mean? So a lot of dudes are banging that shit just for rep on the street or because they're selling dope with a certain clique. But when it comes to stuff in the pen, you can't judge a cat because he's from another state to say he's a buster, because until you see whether or not he's selling wolf tickets or how he carries himself, that's going to be the telltale. And a lot of times cats will get exposed. I've seen cats who are from LA, who are from, right in their neighborhood, and these cats get, they're not they're not cut like that. You know what I mean? Dude's from Sacramento. You know, he a blood, but the nigga was a jailhouse thief. He got his wig split. So you never know. You can't say just because a cat is not from a certain place originally that he's not about it. You know, I know some cats from New O, they'll bust your motherfucking head. So you can never underestimate a person based on where they're from because of what they claim. Because a lot of niggas is just, they're head busters.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.